What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Omega Ruby and today's challenge we can beat Pokemon Omega Ruby Hardcore Nuzlocke using only shiny Pokemon. But is it extreme randomizer? Just randomize everything. I don't know what I'm doing with the settings. I'm still playing around with them, but it's gonna be 1.25 difficulty scaling, so the levels are getting 25% higher than the base game. The randomizer means any Pokemon could spawn in, and it's gonna be random evolutions and when the Pokemon is supposed to evolve. That's gonna screw me up a lot. So if I didn't have that, it's gonna be a lot easier. Unfortunately, I had that. It was not easy at all. On top of that, it's gonna be hardcore Nuzlocke rules, so I can only catch one Pokemon per route. And I was really thinking about it. Should I put like an implement? Like maybe it's too easy for me. No. I was not going to do one Pokemon per gym badge. That's ridiculous. Anyways, from there, if my Pokemon ever faints, they're dead. To be shiny as well. At least I upped the shiny odds. On top of that, there's going to be a level cap. The level cap's obviously going to be based off of the 25% difficulty scaling. And furthermore, you can't use items inside of battle. You have to play on set mode, all the great things. And on top of that, each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. So thanks so much for leaving a nickname in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after a future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully our pictures. And while you're down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to begin off, there's 3 Pokemon in the bag. Skitty, Octillery, and Jigglypuff, and double randomizer. So I don't even know what Pokemon they're gonna come out as. One of them is a Quilava, one of them is a Gengar, and I believe the other one's a Marshtomp. So I decided to switch it up a little bit and decided to go for a Quilava. I know Gengar is the easiest choice here, and then Marshtomp. I think Quilava is the worst choice, but you know what? Mix it up. I think Gengar is a little boring, so let's just mix it up. And I really wish I didn't mix it up. So we're gonna find ourselves a shiny Quilava, and we're gonna lock in from there. So we're gonna beat down the Cherim, the tutorial Cherim, and then we got a lot of XP just going through the game. So we get to level 9, and we almost lost against May. She has Draco Meteor Dragon, and yeah, she almost killed me. So lucky enough, I got to flinch off and beat May, or this would have been a really bad video. I don't like losing to May. I know it doesn't count because we didn't get Pokeballs yet, but I just don't like losing to her. Anyways, we're gonna actually start shiny hunting at Route 1 or Route 101. And we start shiny hunting out here and then just move on. We actually go out to 103 on accident and found myself a shiny Rattata, which isn't the greatest thing to find, so I don't really like that. So we found ourselves a shiny Rattata, and we're gonna move on into Petalburg City. Once we actually find the city, we can show off the Pokemon that's actually randomized. So that's not great. We only have limited amount of items because once we get another gym badge, the items will reset, and that means we will not know when our next Great Balls will be back, or if they'll ever be back. So we gotta be very careful. We also go into this double battle fight, and I'm like, I really wish that I didn't have a Rattata because this Registeel has a high jump kick, or jump kick actually, and kills my Rattata in midway through. And also my Quilava does not have any fire moves, so that's also great, as we're actually really hoping to knock out this Registeel, which we got and luckily knockout. Unfortunately, we get over leveled, so that was pretty bad. I thought it was higher. So we got -1, so we can't use my Quilava, and my other Pokemon's dead. We're forced to shiny hunt. So we found ourselves a shiny Treecko out in the grass over here, and I'm like, oh, add the Treecko to my team easily. And from there, once we get our shiny Treecko, we also find ourselves a shiny Altaria outside of the route next to Rustboro City. We get ourselves an Altaria as well, and then from there, that means we have the level cap to evolve our Treecko, and Treecko evolves into, I was thinking it's gonna be cool, but Treecko evolves into Aeron, and I'm like, didn't go up or down, it just went sideways. So we didn't really gain anything. So from there, we can move on face off against Roxanne. I thought I put the randomizer on to have random Pokemon, but unfortunately, she only has the same amount of Pokemon she has in a base game, so that kind of sucks. But anyways, we're going to start the battle off against Roxanne's Pinecone using my Aeron, and honestly, too bad. I mean, I have Sky Drop Aeron, and I'm able to 3-shot into the Pinecone. She used her potion up. Eventually, I'm able to knock him out, so we end up beating down Roxanne. Her next Pokemon will be a Flappy, which, could be a little dangerous, but I do have Low Kick. I mean, it's getting done away with me and everything, so I go out to my Altaria. Altaria is able to eventually knock him out, which is actually getting pretty risky if he gets paralyzed, but I get Dragon Breath into him 4 times. Eventually knock him out as we beat down Roxanne, so that's pretty good. We got our first gym badge, and now the level cap jumps up to 20 as we make our way into Granite Cave next. We almost lose our Altaria. Once we head into Granite Cave, we can start shiny hunting out here as well. I kind of want the Gyarados, I'm not gonna lie. We want the Gyarados out of everything in here, because nothing, I mean, Azumaro's okay, but honestly, we want the Gyarados. We're gonna start shiny hunting, and we find ourselves a shiny Gyarados, but unfortunately, we only have a certain amount of Pokeballs, since the Pokemart didn't have any more balls. We only started out with a limited amount, so we got a Poison Gas into the Gyarados for status, and it almost used up every single one of my Pokeballs, as eventually, once it gets down to red HP, I caught it. So lucky enough, I caught the Gyarados, and then from there, we could add it to my team. Unfortunately, it only had Thundershock as the move, so I'm like, What's the point of that? What is the point of just Thundershock Gyarados? Anyways, from there we can move on and face off against Brawley next, the second gym leader in the game. We start the battle off against his Minun using my Altaria, as I'm able to go for Dragon Breath against him. He tanks it pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. That's looking of it exploded, it's self-destructed, so we had to worry about the game-ending Minun. His next Pokemon is going to be a Toxicroak, which is going to hit me pretty hard with a superpower, but I'm able to just the Air Cutter and two-shot into him as we beat down Brawley. Again, not too difficult. From there, we can move out into the Pokemon. Again, there's nothing for us. We actually get ourselves some repeat balls because we're that desperate, I'm not gonna lie. We also had an Adamant Orb that we picked up from our Quilava. We're able to sell it and get ourselves a Lucky Instance and then boost our money gain. So from now, we're getting double the money, so we're gonna take that. As from there, we can beat down May on our fight, I guess. I don't know. We move out and face off against May and then start shiny hunting in the same route. I think it's 111, 113, something like that. Anyways, we started shiny hunting and found ourselves a shiny Tentacool, which I guess, honestly, all these Pokemon are pretty whack. We also move on to route 113 or 112 and then get ourselves a shiny Breezo. And I'm like, oh, honestly, I understand it's a randomizer, but can I get some cooler Pokemon? Like, honestly, the past randomizers I've done, I got an Arceus, I got a Raikou that just carried my team. So far, my team is looking pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. And this random trainer has a Darkrai and almost just ended me. Like, I'm like, okay, what do I do here? Lucky enough, didn't have Dark Pulse. If it had Dark Pulse, I would have died. Lucky enough, I got a Thundershock paralyzed with my Gyarados. And then from there, I could go for a low sweep with my Aeron, and I'm able to knock him out. So we able to clear through the Darkrai, but it took a lot of brain power. But from there, we can face up against Watson next, and Watson is the devil. So we're gonna start the battle off against him using my Altaria against his Noivern. He has Noivern, which is already kind of dangerous. He goes for Outrage, almost kills me, I'm not gonna lie. Lucky enough, I get a Paralyze off against him and a two-shot into him. So from there, he goes out to the Vivillon. I go for Air Cutter. He can go for Aero Blast on his Vivillon. That's always great. So I made a two-shot into the Vivillon at least. And his final Pokemon, well, you guessed it, here's a Raikou. And you know what? Raikou is okay, because you know what, maybe it doesn't have any moves because all the moves are randomized. Nope, he has Thunderbolt, so I switched up to my Crocodile on accident because my Breezo evolved into a Floatzel. Technically, it evolved into a Crocodile, but it's over level, so I'm like, oh wait, I can't use this thing. So I kind of just cheated there, but you know what, let's pretend I didn't cheat. So I switched out into my Quilava, take the Thunderbolt anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty bad. Hopefully a Poison Gas will land, and I'm like, okay, the Poison Gas landed, so I just gotta stall out until it dies. So I'm like, what do I do here? So I go out to my Tentacool. Tentacool is gonna die. Lucky enough, it does not that strong enough to kill me, so it's not the highest level on his team, but it's gonna knock my Tentacool, which is fine. I go out to my Gyarados. I'm like, maybe I'll survive a Thunderbolt, maybe I won't. So I don't know. He goes for Thunderfang. I'm like, well, works out. He went for Thunderfang over Thunderbolt, which I'm like, I don't know why he's doing that. So I mean, I'll take that. As from there, I'm just gonna Milkstring, and hopefully I just, you know, he doesn't use Thunderbolt. I'm just hoping that's the case. But at some point, I'm like, oh, let me switch out to my Aeron, and I switch out to my Aeron and then switch out into my Quilava. And then he used Aura Sphere. He had Aura Sphere and Thunderbolt. What kind of magical Raikou is this? But he's gonna knock out my Quilava, which is fine. Go out to my Aeron to bait in one more Aura Sphere. As from there, he's gonna Aura Sphere and then knock himself out with the poison. So we end up beating down Watson and losing 2 Pokemon. So I don't know. This is pretty difficult. It's getting pretty difficult. We finally evolved the Crocodile that I used illegally into a Mantine. So Mantine is definitely a Pokemon. Anyways, from there we saw the Sharpedo Knight or the Sharpedo Megastone in the shop. So we're able to just start shiny hunting in Verdanturf Tunnel. This is where I can find Sharpedo. This is probably the biggest encounter spot for it. So we found ourselves a Sharpedo, added to my team, which is nice. And then from there we can make our way into Fiery Path. There's a lot of great Pokemon in here. I wanted Yoga so badly. I also got a bunch of heavy balls, but they actually don't work, so I wasted a lot of money. I bought 41 heavy balls, and I can't even use them to catch Pokemon, but it didn't matter, as we actually found ourselves a shiny Swampert instead, which is okay. You know, I'll catch the Swampert. It has Fiery Dance, which is kind of cool, but Swampert's cool. I wanted Dialga, but you know, you can't get everything you wanted, so we get ourselves a Swampert as well, evolve my Aeron, and evolve into a Frillish. I'm like, come on, just evolve vertically, evolve into something better, not just sideways. Anyways, from there, we're going to beat Maxie with my Mantine, and then from there, we're going to face up against Flannery, and I'm using my Mantine against her, but we're going to start the battle off against her using my Mantine against her Golduck, and it actually works out pretty well. I have Coil as my setup move, so I'm just going to Coil up, and I have Horn Leech as my healing move, so it actually works out pretty well, as this Golduck cannot do anything against me, so I get +6 with, I think I get +4 actually, but I'm able to knock out the Golduck and then just Horn Leech into the Hippowdon. don't knock him out. He's not gonna do a lot of damage to me, but I don't knock him out. So eventually I'm able to knock him out. That's how bad Mantine's attack is, but it's all we can do. Anyways, her final opponent will be a jump bluff, and honestly, this thing is horrendously terrible. So I gotta go for Rock Smash to lower the defense of the jump bluff, and then I'm able to go for Horn Leeches. Eventually knock out the jump bluff with my Mantine, but it takes a long time. For +4 or 5, this Mantine is pretty terrible, but we got through Flannery anyways. And then from there, once we beat Flannery, we hit our shop reset, so we go into the Pokemon, and we got the Master Ball, so we don't have to worry about any catching anywhere. Look how fast I'm clicking. I want all the Master Ball. It wouldn't help me at all because I didn't get the Yoga. I'm running low on Pokeballs the whole time. From there, we're gonna move on and face off against Norman next. Norman's gonna be the next gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against him using my Mantine. Once again, we can start coiling up front of the Blissey. It just keeps going for double edge. Eventually, I'm able to just go for, well, that's not good. I went for a Rock Smash and knock him out, but I wanted to go for a Horn Leech. As this next opponent will be a Celebi, which go for a Leaf Storm and almost knocked me out. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty scary. I get a Horn Leech off. I could probably survive another one, but I didn't want to risk it, so I go out to my Altaria. Altaria survives pretty easily against it, so I'm going to go for Mystical Fire to lower his special attack and eventually knock him out with an Air Cutter. From there, his next opponent is going to be a Bronzong, so I stayed in and go for Mystical Fire against him, so I'm able to lower his special attack a few bits. Eventually, do I knock him out? I don't knock him out. I go out to my Sharpedo. We're going to take a Fade attack and then go out and then Thunder Punch and Sharpedo. I don't understand, but knock him out with Thunder Punch as we're able to beat down Norman and get ourselves the 5th gym badge in the game. So that's actually pretty good. From there, we're going to evolve my Furlish into a Mawile. And I'm like, I guess technically is a better Pokemon, but I don't have the Mega Stone for it, so can't do too much with it. So I'm just going to box it and get another Pokemon. From there, unfortunately, we get faced up against Gyarados. Lucky enough, I have Milk Shrink on my Gyarados, so Gyarados is actually pretty good. So from there, I don't want to learn Dragon Descent on my Altaria, as we're also going to face up against May out here. So May, it's pretty easy. We beat down May, and then from there we can move on. We're gonna start shiny hunting in the routes out here, and lucky enough we found ourselves a shiny Typhlosion. So you know what, I'll take it. Typhlosion is pretty good. We're gonna add Typhlosion to my team, and from there we're gonna move on and face off against Winona next. Winona's gonna be the 6th gym leader in the game, and she also is gonna start the battle off against us using a Persian. So I'm gonna start the battle off against her using my Typhlosion, which only has Aurora Beam really, because it has Rolling Kick, and that's not gonna do a lot of damage. It has Toxic, but again, not a lot of damage, so I gotta switch out my Typhlosion into my Swampert. Swampert's able to go for a Surf, which honestly should have gone for Fiery Dance, but it's alright. I knock out the Persian, and then from there I can Surf and knock out the Sudowoodo. That thing could have been dangerous. I just feel it. From there, next opponent will be a Hypno. I went for Techno Blast, and it did 0 damage. I'm like, well, that was a waste of time. So I went for Fiery Dance, looking for the boost. Don't get it. I also get messed up with Future Sight, so I gotta be very careful with that. Go out to my Gyarados next. Gyarados is able to go for a Bite against the Hypno. 2-shot into him, which is pretty nice. As your next and final opponent will be a Talonflame. I do have Fusion Bolt on my Gyarados to knock out the Talonflame, as we're able to one-shot it, and we beat down Winona pretty easily. So from there, we can finally use my Sharpedo. I don't know why I didn't use my Sharpedo early enough, but Sharpedo is able to just go for Thunder Punch in his Mega form and knock out Courtney. So from there, you know, when you're just testing it out. We also go into the Team Magma Hideout, which could be pretty difficult. We face up against the Suicune, face up against this multi-battle fight, which could have been dangerous, but Swampert got it. Let's face off against the Malamar with Courtney again, so we clear through pretty easily. We get Sacred Fire, which is kind of cool. But from there, we can move on and face off against Tate and Liza. And this is probably the hardest Tate and Liza fight ever. So we're going to start the battle off against Tate and Liza using, obviously, my Gyarados and Swampert. And they can start out with Kyogre and also Alakazam. So I'm like, okay, this is, you know, could be better. Could definitely be better. But we do have water types, so we should be able to nullify the Kyogre. And then from there, I just go for a Surf and then bite into the Mega Alakazam. It goes for Future Sight, so it works out for us as we're able to knock out Alakazam. But Kyogre has a Water Spout as a move. Why did it give Kyogre Water Spout in a randomizer with randomized moves? So I don't understand either. So lucky enough, I do have a Mantine in the back, so it has Water Absorb. Sharpedo is also a water type, but it's not really a water type. So go to my Altaria, and lucky enough, he's able to survive it. I'm able to Horn Leech into him, eventually knock him out. But he also has Double Edge. He's trying to knock out my, really trying hard to knock out my Mantine. But lucky enough, we're able to Dragon Breath into and then Horn Leech with my Mantine to knock him out. So eventually, we're able to beat down Tate and Liza, but that could have been really bad for us. So from there, we can move on and face off against Maxie, and Maxie is a pretty easy fight. We have Gyarados with Coil now, and he should be able to outspeed everything, and also Milk Drink to regain his HP just in case. So we're able to just bite and knock out the Jellicent, knock out the Meowstic. I get burned on the Torkoal, which is really annoying, but it do be. So I knock out the Torkoal, and I gotta go out and seal my Altaria against the Masquerain to fly it and knock him out. From there, we're able to beat down Maxie, and now we can move on, Oh yeah, prior to the Maxi fight, I forgot to mention that I went to this fight with my Sharpedo just playing around with it. I got Wobble Fedded, so unfortunately I got Destiny Bomb Wobble Fed. I was trying to hide from it with Dive, but unfortunately it outsmarted me and just went for Destiny Bomb and knocked me out. So I'm like, well, lost the Pokemon, so I gotta start shiny hunting out in the water in top of the sea, because I found myself a Sceptile out here. I'm like, definitely gonna shiny hunt for this. Mega Sceptile, that is free for me. I just replaced Sharpedo with a Mega Sceptile, so you know what, I don't mind with that. So I'm gonna find myself a shiny Sceptile in the water here and catch it, add to my team. And then from there we're gonna face off against Groudon. Primal Groudon is a Zapdos, but it didn't level up, so it's only level 45, so we're just two-shot into him with, I think, Bolt Strike. So, or we're to beat down Primal Groudon. And from there we can move on and face off against Wallace next. Wallace, the 8th gym leader in the games, can start the battle off against us using a Zatsu. I'm like, I got a Sceptile in the back. Sceptile could easily handle this. I'm a Mega Evolve and then go for a Bolt Strike, as we're to one-shot him with a Bolt Strike. The next Pokemon is going to be a Scolipede, which I'm like, well, this thing's probably going to kill me. So I switch on to my Swampert. Swampert's able to go for, well, would have died easily. It has Mega Horn, so I go for Fiery Dance. Doesn't knock him out, so I'm like, oh, that's pretty bad. So I get a special attack on a second time, so, you know, it could have really helped on the first time, but go out to my Gyarados. Gyarados able to go for Coils against him, and eventually I get a bunch of Coils and Milk Drink up, eventually knock out the Scolipede. From there, his next opponent was going to be his own Gyarados, which I go for Bites against him, and eventually knock him out as well. And then his next opponent after that will be Ambipom. He goes for Swift. I have Sacred Sword, so I'm able to knock out the Ambipom, and his next opponent after that will be his own Mega Sceptile, which has Leaf Storm, so it does a lot of damage against me. I gotta go out into my own Sceptile. Luckily enough, I do have Avalanche, but he also have X-Scissor, so it could have been really bad for me. So I survived his X-Scissor and Avalanche to knock him out, so it could have been better. We beat down Wallace, get ourselves the 8th gym match in the game, and from there we got Geomancy on my Altaria, and we started sweeping down people. I swept down Wally at the end of Victory Road. Kind of a bad play, you know, if he had extreme speed or anything, it could have been really bad for me, but it wasn't the case as we beat Wally, and we can move on into the Elite Four itself. We do our final preparations as we head into the Elite Four, and from there we're gonna start the battle off against Sydney, the first Elite Four member, using my Gyarados. As he goes out to his Genesect, I was very scared of a Thunderbolt or something, so I go out to my Swampert, and looking up, it did have Zap Cannon, so would have been dead. It would have been, my Gyarados would have been dead, but it goes for Explosion on the second turn. I'm like, what is going on here? So Genesect knocks himself out as he switches out into his Florges. I'm like, this thing definitely has something for me. So I'm gonna switch out. I'm gonna go on to my Typhlosion, and looking up, I did. It has Petal Dance, but my Typhlosion doesn't have anything really against him. So I'm lucky to get a Thunderbolt and paralyze it. From there, I'm able to flinch it with Waterfall on my Gyarados. The next one will be Primate, which I go for a Coil up against because I know it's going to be physical attacking. It does a lot of damage though, so I got to be very careful. Waterfall to knock him out, which I should have went for Milk Drink, but it's fine. As I go for Sacred Sword against Dugong, as his final opponent will be a Samurott, which I was like, this thing's going to be weak, so I went for Sacred Sword. He's going to survive it, and then Hydro Pump into me. Lucky enough, I survived that, or I would have just been really angry that I just threw away my Gyarados, but lucky enough, I'm able to just knock him out with my Sceptile. As we're ready to beat down Sydney. Very close fight, honestly. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Phoebe next. Phoebe's going to be the second Elite Four member. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Gyarados against her Azel, which is pretty good, but I was going to start setting up against her, but she went for Explosion and just knocked herself out, so I'm like, okay, that's not great. Her next opponent will be a Celebi, which I'm like, you know, maybe I stayed in. It does miss a Leaf Storm. I'm like, I'm just going to stay in. Make it lose all its special attack on Leaf Storm, and then just start setting up against him with Milk Drink and Coil. And it works out pretty well for us as we're able to get +6, I believe, and then just Bite. Oh, I don't have Bite. I have Waterfall. And Waterfall into the Celebi. It does get an Ancient Power boost and crit on the same turn. I'm like, okay, what's the chance of that? So from there, I'm just getting Milk Drink up. She has like negative special attack, so it does really, so the Ancient Power doesn't do anything after the crit. So from there, I could two-shot into the Celebi to knock him out. As the next opponent after that will be a Hippowdon. I'm gonna one-shot it with Waterfall. Her next opponent after that will be a Palkia, which I outspeed and Sacred Sword to knock him out in one shot, luckily. Her next opponent after that will be a Zangoose with one shot. As we're ready to beat down Phoebe, and now we can move on and face off against Glacia. Glacia's giving me the third Elite Four member of the game. We're starting the battle off against her using my Sceptile against her Unknown. I'm like, this fight's gonna be easy. So Sceptile, Mega Sceptile up, just Leaf Blade and knock out the Unknown. Her next opponent will be a Drapion. I'm like, this thing, of course, this can kill me, but I stayed in for some reason and just went for a high jump kick. and then it burns itself. It poisoned me and it burns itself. I'm like, what is going on? So I go out to my Mantine. I don't even know what's going on. Mantine's able to go for coils up against him, which I'm not too sure why I went for that. I even questioned it in the video, so I went to my Swampert. It poisoned itself with Flame Orbs though, so I'm gonna drill run with my Swampert to knock him out. And so next opponent will be a Victini. I'm like, you know what? I don't really have any answers to this Victini, so I'm just gonna stay in and surf it. And it works out for us as we're able to two-shot into the Victini and knock him out. But my Swampert gets low, so I gotta be careful of that. As the next one will be a Spinda. I go for Giga Drains up against the Spinda and then surf to knock him out, so it actually works out pretty well for us. As the next Pokemon will be a Cofagrigus, which I stayed in. Again, no reason why. I take a Shadow Ball. Lucky enough, the Giga Drain healed enough HP for us. As from there, I'm able to switch out to my Typhlosion, which would Thunderbolt into him. And then from there, I can take a Shadow Ball and then Thunderbolt once again to knock out the Cofagrigus. From there, we're able to beat down Glacier, and yeah. This is how I recover my Pokemon, by the way. You can see I just energy rooted up and have Ogato just in case I have any status. So that's the only way I could do it. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Drake next. Drake's going to be the 4th Elite Four member in the games. Can start the battle off against is using a Registeel. Oh boy, that's a throwback from the start. I go for Geomancy in front of the Registeel, and then it Zap Cannon me. I'm like, come on. Any other move, it would have been great. It Zap Cannon and paralyzed me, and then it just went down. Of course, it wanted to go for Explosion. This thing's so annoying, bro. And from there, he's gonna switch out to his Cryogonal. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna switch out to my Typhlosion. I don't have any other drop. I don't have any other choice. I have Strength as a move to knock out this Cryogonal, which is so stupid. I Thunderbolt once again, and then my Fire type got frozen. And then I switch out to my Gyarados next, which also gets frozen. I'm like, what is the chance of that? Lucky enough, I thought out. I'm able to go for Sacred Sword and then knock him out. From there, his next opponent will be an Archeops. Maybe he doesn't have any moves against me. He has Rock Slide. Why does he have Rock Slide? They have all the great moves. Lucky enough, I survived it, but I got flinched in the meantime. I'm like, come on. What is the point of this? I go out to my Swampert, which will take a Rock Slide pretty easily. From there, I can surf into him. I surf him one shot to Arceus, which is nice. From there, he's going to switch out to his Hitmontop, which is going to go for a close combat and two-shot me. But lucky enough, I don't risk it. I go out to you on my Mantine. Mantine's getting coiled up in front of the Hitmontop and eventually knock him out with a Horn Leech and then get my HP back up. His next opponent after that would be a Gliscor, which I go for Sacrifice trying to burn him, which works out for me. But unfortunately, he does get a Night Slash crit on me, so I go down to low HP. Lucky enough, I do survive it, and then from there he doesn't get another crit, so we are really lucky on that as we're ready to beat down Gliscor and beat down Drake. Now from there, we're gonna move on and face up against Steven Stone next. Steven's gonna be the champion of the game. He's gonna start the battle off against using Maltic. I go for Altera. I'm just begging for the Geomancy sweep. I go for Geomancy on the first turn. It goes for Dragon Tail and gets me up out of there, so I'm like, okay, it's not gonna work out. Go ahead into my Sceptile, which will Leaf Blade and knock out the Maltic. Good, didn't knock him out. I'm knocking him out in the second turn, and from there his next one will be a Kieran White. I'm like, oh, that should be his ace. That's definitely close to his ace level. I go for High Jump Kick. I'm like, I can't switch out. Everyone else can die to any ice move from this thing anyway, so if this thing has an ice move, it's GG. I'm able to High Jump Kick into him. It does a lot of damage, but he misses a Blizzard. I'm like, oh, we'll take that. So I just gotta land another High Jump Kick, and I do. I knock out his Kieran White, and the battle should be over, right? I don't think he has anything better than that. He goes out to his Flygon, which will Dragon Rush and outspeed me and kill me. So I'm like, oh, underestimated for no reason. So I go on to my Gyarados next. Gyarados able to go for a bunch of coils up against him, and then Milk Drink up, and finally Gyarados able to end the battle. Gyarados able to go for Waterfall and knock out the Flygon for us. It actually poisoned the Toxic, just knocked himself out, so you know what, it worked out for us. As from there, I get a bunch of boost, and from there his next one will be a Renucleus. I go for Waterfall and one-shot him. And from there, you know, the battle should be over. Mightyena goes down to one Waterfall, and his final opponent will be a Selgor. Goes for Giga Drain, doesn't do a lot of damage. I'm able to Waterfall and knock him out. As we're ready to beat down Steven Stone, and yeah, cleared through the game. Unfortunately, we lose Sceptile at the end, and we did get a lot of deaths. We got way more deaths than I expected. We got a lot more deaths in the beginning of the game than any other randomizer, which I'm very surprised about. But honestly, it was pretty fun. It was really difficult for once because we didn't have a legendary Pokemon or any really strong Pokemon to carry us through. But we are really screwed on the move set. So unfortunately about that. But honestly, it was a pretty fun randomizer all around. If you guys want to see more randomizers, let me know in the comments. And anyways, that's my time for today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name has been Alpha, and I hope you all have a great day, and I'm out. Peace.